Busan. Oh, it's great to be here in Hong Kong. I love coming back to this part of the world because without a doubt, the ladies here are the most beautiful in the world. The men, has anybody heard me speak before? Has anybody heard me speak more than once? You've heard both speeches. I want to start with some thanks. Thanks to some people who have looked after me so well, I don't just feel hospitality, I feel I've been loved this week. So let me just run through a list of people who need thanking. Stanley and Iris, Anita, Macy, Mark, Pecky and Willis. Your hospitality has been better than any that I have ever received anywhere that I've spoken before. Wait. Save the applause for the end. Okay. And I want to give a special mention to two people. You see, folks, 35 years ago, before many of you were born, I made my first MDRT presentation. And I was told, if you speak well, you'll be in demand for 5 years. And here we are 35 years later, 56 countries later. Thank you for bringing me back to Hong Kong. Hong Kong was the first country I ever came to speak in outside the UK, and my host who looked after me on that visit was Teresa So, and I'm delighted to see Teresa still involved in leadership here in Hong Kong. And a special mention to my old friend Robert Young, to whom you owe a debt, because it was Robert's dream that brought APLIC into being. And I owe Robert a debt because he introduced me to durian. And I don't like it just as much now as I didn't like it 30 years ago. So, congratulations are due to the organizers of this fantastic meeting, to the companies who had the sense to give it support, and of course to all of you for making the investment in being here this week. I congratulate all of you. Now, wasn't it a great introduction? 42 years MDRT, 41 years top of the table, past president of MDRT. Are you impressed? Yeah. Were you expecting somebody taller? Well, let me tell you what reality was like. My first month in the life insurance business, it took me 43 sales presentations to make my first sale. In my second month, I made 6 sales. And by the end of the month, they had all canceled. After 3 months, I had a closing average of 1 in 19. After 4 years, I tried to quit. The only reason I am here with you today is nobody would offer me a job. So I thought, I'll change life insurance companies. Maybe if I move to a new company, it will kickstart my career. A new insurance company was opening in my city, so I applied for a job, and they put me through a personality test. And I went back for the second interview, and there was the test paper on the manager's desk, and written across it said, "This man is not suited to a career in the sale of life insurance." 4 more years, 8 years it took to make it to MDRT. But then just 1 year to the top of the table and to do it again year after year. You see, folks, I was never expected to succeed at anything. I left school at 16. I didn't deliberately leave. They said, "We're not kicking you out, but we are not allowing you back." I was placed in a special category at school. In the 40-year history of the school at that time, only 3 boys had ever been placed in this category. What was it? Boys who would never be a success at anything. What a sad way to label a child. Let me tell you what happened to these 3 boys. The first became a professional golfer. He won the British Open. He made millions designing golf courses all around the world. Even today, in his 80s, he is the #1 golf commentator on British television. The second boy became an author. He has over 40 bestsellers to his name. Many of them made into Hollywood movies. So rich is he lives as a tax exile. And the third boy, who would never succeed at anything, became the 74th president of the $1 Million Round Table. Is there a moral to this story? Yes. Never allow others to sit in judgment on our potential. Now, why am I here, so many thousands of miles away from my home and my family? Because I am the fortunate beneficiary of a sharing environment, the $1 Million Round Table. You see, in MDRT we believe if we have grown because of others, we should help others grow because of us. And it's because of what others have shared with me that has helped me to grow that I'm delighted to be here in the hope that something I say may help you in your quest, your search for success. So that's why I'm here. Now, my question to you is, why are you here? Aren't we all looking for something? Maybe an idea, maybe just one idea, but something that will help us do what we do a little more successfully. If you agree with me, let me see. Well, let me give you the bad news. If we want our financial circumstances to change, we have to do something differently. When we go home after this meeting, if we continue to do what we've always done, we'll continue to be where we've always been. We cannot become what we want to become by remaining what we are. The success of this meeting does not depend on what the speakers say from the stage. The success of this meeting depends on the ideas we take home and have the courage to put into practice. Yes, it takes some change, but sometimes the smallest changes can have the most dramatic effect on our results. We cannot start to write the next chapter of our lives until we stop reading the last one. So, question I'm often asked, why is it that success seems to come to a chosen few? I would suggest that success does not come to a chosen few. Success is chosen by a few. Success is not a matter of chance. Success is a matter of choice. And we can all choose the level of success we want for ourselves. Every great accomplishment in life starts with a vision. Do we have a vision? A vision of what we want our careers to look like? A vision of what we want to achieve for ourselves, for our families, from our careers in this business? The great artist Vincent van Gogh, he said, "First I dream my paintings, and then I paint my dreams." Do we know what we want to achieve? have a vision. Then we can ask ourselves a question. What do I have to do each year, each month, each week? And if I have the courage each day, that if I repeat it day after day, will bring my dreams to reality. Yes, I'm talking about goals. I have a granddaughter. In fact, I have 5 grandchildren. Now, I know what you're thinking. Surely, he's much too young to be a grandfather. When my granddaughter Emmy was 4 years old, she just started school, and it was her first school sports day. Now, in my country, every school in the country has a sports day at the end of the summer term where all the kids run races against each other. Picture this. School teacher surrounded by beautiful 4-year-old girls. About 25 meters over here, 2 older pupils holding a tape across what is obviously the running track, and all the proud mums and dads and grandmas and poppers all standing in a line waiting to cheer for our own. The teacher says to the children, when I say go, I want you to run as fast as you can. Are you ready? Are you set? Go! And they scattered in every direction. They didn't have a goal. Who has a GPS in their car? What's the first question the GPS asks? Destination. Only when we put in the destination can it plan the route. Our goals are our destination. We need the destination to plan the route. You see, folks, success or failure is something that we practice on a daily basis. And it's what we do each day that will determine our success in this business. Every successful person I know, whether in this business or any other, starts the day knowing what they hope to achieve that day. Yes, I'm talking about having a daily goal. Why? Because daily goals give us a sense of urgency to do now, today, what needs to be done today. When I first wanted to qualify for MDRT, I realized that if I had 4 appointments a day, and 3 of them would be there, 1 of them would buy from me, and I might just be able to qualify. I'd go to the first appointment, they'd want to think it over. I'd go to the next appointment, he'd be a client of my best friend. I'd go to the 3rd appointment, she wouldn't even be there. Does that ever happen here in Hong Kong? God help the 4th appointment. My goal was to do business today. Have the courage to set daily goals. It is hard. It is hard to set a daily goal. It's much easier to have a goal for the year. We only face failure once a year. It's the 31st of December. If I can remember where I put the piece of paper with my goal written on, I'll know if I succeeded or failed this year. But have a daily goal. We have to go home at the end of every day, face ourselves in the mirror and answer the question, did I fail or did I succeed today? It is hard, but I'll give you a guarantee. Those who have the courage to set daily goals will always, always be more successful than those who don't. Set daily goals. Why? Because the more goals we reach, the easier it becomes to reach more goals. Churchill said, success comes when we move from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Set those daily goals. And if our goals are important, the other building block for our success must be our activity. So let me ask you a question, and please be honest with me. Who last month did not make as many sales appointments as we should have made? Well, thank you for your honesty. Let me ask another question. Whose commission check last month was less than you would have liked it to be? Oh, it's the same hands. Is this a coincidence? Of course not. For us, it will always be that this week's activity will make next week's sales. We need the activity. I remember my first day in the life insurance business. My manager took me around the office. He introduced me to my new colleagues. I knew some of them must be very successful because they didn't start work until lunchtime. I said, what do I have to do to guarantee I succeed? He said, make 15 appointments a week. I said, what if I only make 14 appointments a week? He said, with 14 you might succeed. With 15 I'll guarantee it. I went through my first 30-odd years in this business before I had the courage to make less than 15 appointments a week. Activity. Would it make a difference? Look, this week we have already heard one great Olympic athlete's story. I'm going to share another story with you. A story of the person who, in my opinion, is the greatest Olympic athlete of all time. He's an Englishman called Stephen Redgrave. And what makes him the greatest Olympic athlete of all time is simply this. He is the only athlete in the history of the Olympic Games to win a gold medal at 5 consecutive Olympics. Imagine what it takes to be at the very pinnacle, the very top of our chosen profession for over 20 years. After he won his 5th gold medal, he was interviewed for British television, and the interviewer asked him, what do you think it is that makes the difference? And he said, I think it's because I train on Christmas Day and my competitors don't. He isn't saying he works twice as hard. His competitors train on 364 days of the year. He trains on the 365th. One of those tiny little things. Enough to give him an edge. So what might give us an edge? Well, here's an idea for you. Make one more appointment each week. That's all. However many appointments you're making already, make one more appointment each week. Imagine, that's 50 for the year. 40 of them will be there. 10 or 15 of them will buy from you. If the average commission is, say, $2,000 US, $2,500 US, that's $25,000, $30,000, $35,000 US dollars extra in income each year. Here's a suggestion, folks. When you go home from this meeting, this evening, this afternoon, and your beloved says to you, did you get any good ideas? Tell them. One of the speakers said, darling, that if I make just one more appointment each week, you can have an extra $30,000 to spend next year. What do you think your darling would say? I know what my darling would say. Make 2. Folks, we succeed for many reasons in this business, but we only fail to reach our goals for one: lack of discipline. The difference for us between mediocrity and success is all in the word discipline. You see, the most successful people in our business discipline themselves to do the things that other people don't like to do. Now, I choose my words carefully. I'm not saying the most successful people enjoy doing the things the less successful don't like doing. It's just we discipline ourselves to do those things whether we like doing them or not. Discipline. Discipline. There are no extraordinary people in our business, but there are some ordinary people who discipline themselves to achieve extraordinary results. Millionaires are not queuing up for jobs selling life insurance, but you come to MDRT and I'll introduce you to some people who through discipline have made themselves into millionaires. Our success, folks, does not come by closing easy sales. Our success comes when we lose hard-fought ones and have the courage, the discipline to come back and try again. Of course, we'll all trip and fall along the way, but falling isn't failing. We only fail when we don't get up again. Our success is not defined by our victories. Our success is defined by how we deal with our failures. And please, have the courage to think bigger. This is a very silly question to people who live in warm climates, but is there anybody here who likes to ski in the snow? Because I think skiing is crazy. You know, you pay money, you get in a long queue, you slowly are carried up to the top of the mountain, you put a piece of polished wood on your feet. 3 minutes later, you're at the bottom of the mountain. If you did not break a leg, you pay money and start again. But here is a question. Even those of us who don't ski will know the answer. When they ski, do they ski uphill or do they ski downhill? Answer. Downhill, of course. Next question. Why? Why do they ski downhill rather than uphill? Because it's easier to ski downhill than it is to ski uphill. What has this got to do with our business, you say? Everything. Next time you're preparing a presentation for a client, always quote the biggest possible premium, the maximum sum assured, an illustration for all of their capital. Your clients will ski down to where they are comfortable. But if we start with a small premium or a small sum assured, they will never ski uphill. Have the courage to think bigger. Now, I would like to give you the simplest idea that can make the most dramatic effect on your production. Stop telling people what they need and start asking them what they want. Why is this important? Because, folks, what our clients and prospects want for themselves, for their families, will always be bigger than just their needs. If, God forbid, if I don't make it home from this meeting, my family do not need the homes we own. They don't need the cars we drive. But I would like them to be able to live in the world I've created. When my younger daughter left home, I said to my wife, we don't need this big house anymore. Let's downsize to something smaller. She said, we may not need it, but this is where I want to live. She also said, you can move if you want to, but I'm staying. Folks, we live in a 5-bedroom home with 5 reception rooms with 3 cars outside. There are only 2 of us there. Why? It's what we want. Remember, what our prospects and clients want will always be greater than just their needs. When we ask a prospect what they want, it repositions us. Tell somebody what they need, we are selling to them. Find out what they want, we are helping them to buy. It is a tiny, subtle difference, but it is worth millions. And it isn't difficult. Tell me, what would you want as income for your family in the event of your untimely death? What would you want as money, capital for yourself the event of diagnosis of a life-threatening illness? What would you want from your capital? What would you want as income when you don't want to work anymore? And once we know what income they would want, it's very easy for us to turn that into a capital sum, and there's our target, sum assured. I'll tell you how successful this simple idea can be. There's a young man in my country who about 15 years ago qualified for the top of the table for the first time. Now, I had never met this man. But at the top of the table meeting, I congratulated him, and I asked the obvious question. I said, tell me, what did you do that changed things for you? And he said, Tony, I took your advice, but I've never met you before. He said, no, but I was sitting in the back of a room when you said, stop telling people what they need and start asking them what they want. He said, it's the only change I made, and my business more than doubled. The only change he made, and his business more than doubled. Now, not everybody buys from us. Some people say, I don't believe in life insurance. Does that ever happen to you? Tell them they don't have to believe in life insurance. It's not a religion. Life insurance is just risk management. We transfer the risk from families or businesses who cannot afford it to insurance companies who can afford it. Tell your clients, out of every 100 people at your age, one of you will die this year. And the life insurance company could not care if it's you, because 99 will still be paying the premiums. They've only lost 1%. But if it is you, the loss to your family or to your business is 100%. Let's transfer the risk from your family or your business who cannot afford it, and let's pass it to the insurance company who can afford it. You see, folks, there is no miracle to life insurance. It just replaces money our prospects and clients want, but have not yet been able to accumulate. If $1 million is what you want for your family in the event of your death, or for yourself in retirement, do you have $1 million? No. Then take my plan, start to save. Let's get you protected. And start to save and invest, and once you have $1 million of your own, you can throw away my life insurance. There's no miracle to it. It just replaces money our prospects and clients want, but have not yet had the opportunity or ability to accumulate. You see, folks, our clients don't buy life insurance to get rich. They buy life insurance so the families won't get poor. And where should MDRT fit into our goals, into our life? In my opinion, MDRT is the place of excellence. Way back in 1927, 32 top-producing life insurance agents had a great idea. If we share our best ideas with each other, we can only benefit. You see, it's a very simple principle. If I have an apple and you have an apple, if I give you my apple, you give me your apple, we still only have one apple each. But if you have an idea and I have an idea, I'll give you my idea, you give me your idea. We go home with 2 ideas each. Now today, some 90-odd years later, with 65,000 members in over 70 countries, and yet the whole purpose of MDRT has not changed. If we have grown because of others, help others grow because of us. Let me ask you a question, if I may. Let's have MDRT members stand up. MDRT members, please stand up. Let the rest take a look at these people. Yeah. Okay. Let's have core to the table members and top of the table members still standing. Okay, core to the table, top of the table, stay standing. Okay, folks. Take a look at them. Are they taller? Are they better looking? Not down here. Are they more intelligent? What makes the difference? They believe it can be done. Thank you. People ask me, will I benefit going to, hey, can we keep the house lights on, please? Thank you. People ask me, will I benefit if I go to the MDRT meeting? Well, this is the analogy I like to make. Whatever your favorite soccer team is, and I'm sorry, ladies, this is a little bit more for the guys, but you can apply this yourselves. Whoever your favorite soccer team is, whether it's Manchester United or Spurs or Arsenal, whoever it is, right? Let's imagine that they invited you to go and train with them for 5 days every year. Would it make you good enough to play for that team? No. Would it make you a better soccer player? Yes. And that's what going to MDRT is like. We get to mix with the best in our business from around the world. It makes us better at what we do. And folks, we have to have the courage to invest in ourselves. I told you it took me 8 years to make it to MDRT. I thought it might be a fluke. It took me 8 years to get here. I must go to the annual meeting. I may never qualify again. I went home from when I'd qualified, I went home to my wife, busy there with our 2 little baby girls, and I said to her, darling, I've qualified for MDRT. She said, oh, yes. I said, yeah, darling, I can go to the MDRT annual meeting. And she said, oh, yes. I said, yeah, darling, the annual meeting's in Hawaii. I'm going to Hawaii. And she said, oh, no. We are going to Hawaii. Now, I have to tell you that 42 years ago, Hawaii did not feature in holiday brochures in my country. It took 27 hours to get there with 2 little babies. It cost me 20% of my previous year's income to get to my first MDRT meeting. But when we go to an MDRT meeting, folks, it is not a cost. It is an investment in our careers. What did I learn at my first meeting? I learned the importance of self-belief. I met a man who was wearing a badge that said, top of the table. I said, what does this mean? He said, this is the club inside the club for the top producers. 6 times MDRT. I said, I could never do this. It's taken me 8 years to get here once. The words he said are as clear to me today as when he spoke them 42 years ago. He said, we can achieve anything we want to achieve in this business if we just have the courage to believe we can achieve it. Is this all it takes, I thought? If I just have more faith, more belief in myself, could I make it into this top of the table? I went home from my first MDRT meeting. I tore up my goals, made new goals to make the top of the table. It didn't matter if I didn't reach it. I knew I would be better off. It's better to try and not succeed than not to try. And amazingly, by the skin of my teeth, I qualified for my first top of the table. Same company, same clients, same desk, same chair. What changed? What changed was my belief in what I could achieve. It truly is our self-belief, folks, that will set the parameters for our achievements. You see, we've all heard that expression, haven't we? The glass is half empty or the glass is half full. Hey, folks, at MDRT, our glass is overflowing. And do we believe in what we sell? My last death claim, we paid out over $1 million on a 48-year-old husband, father of teenage kids. I hadn't sold him $1 million policy. He'd been a client for 15 years. I'd sold him many small policies. He was a very popular man. There were over 400 people at his funeral. all bringing condolences. Only one bringing money. Me, the life insurance man. It allowed his wife to stay in their home, his kids to finish their education because of what you do and I do every day of our working lives. No one will ever place a higher value on us than we place upon ourselves. Never undervalue what we do for our clients. And do we believe in the inevitability of our own success? Remember, it is our self-belief which will set the limits, the parameters for our achievements. Let me share with you a story, another Olympic story, if I may. Mary Peters, she's very famous in my country. Mary Peters was an athlete. The women's pentathlon, 7 events over 2 days. And in 1968, Mary was selected to represent my country at the Olympic Games. Now, Mary thought this was the absolute ultimate accolade, to represent her country. She went to her first Olympics. There in the Olympic Village, she was sharing a room with 2 American athletes. When the American girls arrived, each of them opened their suitcase and took out a hammer and a nail and hammered the nail into the wall above their beds. And Mary said, "Why?" And they said, "To hang our medals from." And one won gold and the other won bronze. And Mary went home a wiser girl. Worked hard, trained hard for the next 4 years. Once again, she was selected to represent my country. But now she did not believe being selected was the epitome, the ultimate point in her career. Now she knew winning was what counted. And because now she believed in herself, she took home the gold medal. Folks, in the Olympics, there can only ever be one winner. In our business, we can all be winners. There's room on the winner's podium for all of us. Let me tell you, the medals in our business, for MDRT, for core to the table, for top of the table, always go to those with the greatest self-belief. We increase our self-belief, we will increase our success. So, I'm almost done, and this meeting in a couple of hours will be over. And we'll go home. And we'll tell our beloved, or we'll go back to the office and tell our colleagues who should have been here but wouldn't make the investment, we'll tell them about this meeting. And they'll say, "Well, did you meet anybody interesting?" Tell them that you met a man who 50 years ago, when he started in this business, needed 43 appointments to make his first sale. Who tried to quit the business after 4 years, took 8 years to make MDRT, but went on to make MDRT and top of the table year after year, became the president of MDRT. And yeah, your friends, your colleagues, your beloved will say, yes, 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 but did he have a message? Tell them my message is very simple. Tell them I said, if I can do it, so can you. If I can do it, so can you. Sissy, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sissy.